Hi there, Barry Eaton with you. Welcome to Radio Out There. Well, have you ever wanted a chat with a cat? Dialogue with your dog? Or maybe you want to parley with a parrot? You have come to the right place. My guest this week is Trisha McCagh, a wonderful animal communicator. Hi there. How are you, Trisha? I haven't talked to you for a while on the program.
I know, Barry. I'm so glad to be here, but it's been too long. It's been too long.
It has. Well, you and I have had some wonderful chats in the past. Now, to introduce Trisha to those people who may have not have heard some of our programs, and we've been talking on and off for a long time now, Trisha is an animal communicator. So I wonder how many people think, an animal communicator? How do you talk to animals? Dr. Doolittle or something. Tell us a bit about that, Doctor.
Yes, absolutely, Barry. Look, animals speak a silent language. And that's why when little kids, little toddlers and animals together, they get on well and they seem to have their own little bit of communication going on, their little connection. But once we turn about 2 or 3, we start to verbalise and that gets encouraged. So we just forgot we had this silent language. So the silent language is basically intuitive and telepathic. So it's a mind-to-mind communication. So animals use it amongst themselves and they can use it with any species. And, of course, we're just another species. Right? So we can talk this silent language. So obviously with me, it reawakened, a cat named Bo reawakened it for me. And all of a sudden I could hear the conversation of animals. You actually hear it, but you hear it more with your mind. But that you can hear their voices, you can hear different tones. Look, it's really amazing. And anybody can do it because you were born with it. So, yeah, that's what animal communication is. It's very exciting. And really, you can use it with all of the natural world.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I remember a long time ago, you came to a party at our place and you taught me a few things. And afterwards, when you left, a brown snake arrived. And I used that. I had a chat to the brown snake and told him I didn't want to harm him. I just want you to go. This is not brown snake country. So I went back inside, came out 10 minutes later, he's gone. I thought, oh, it works.
Well, it does work. But, that snake would have been, wow, how nice is this human to actually converse with me, because our immediate thing is, Barry, is to go, oh my God, brown snake, it's going to attack me, it's going to bite me, it's going to do it. Animals get so misunderstood, and that's why this communication is so great. And when you just talk to them, they love that. And they love the fact that, hey, you understand me, I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm here because he might have been looking for food or for water or whatever, but you said, I don't want to harm you, just go. Okay, all good. I'll go somewhere else. I'll go to the neighbour's house, Barry. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, well, I see him up the road.
Oh, great. And I'm sure those people were very, very grateful to you.
Oh, I'm positive they were. I never asked, but...
Look, I use it all the time to, if I'm going to go clean my patio with a high-pressure cleaner, 3 days before I say to all the spiders and all the insects, listen, I'm coming with that drastic machine, so you need to clear out. Now, I will look out for you, but in case I don't see you, you need to clear out. Most of them leave. They might come back, but they leave. I go out there and the webs are empty and they just move out while I do my cleaning, and I apologise that they have to remake their webs, but I tell them that they can go anywhere else. I've just got this little square that I sit in. And then they go, but why do you need the webs gone? And then I have to do a lot of explaining because, I'm not quite sure. I suppose they do get stuck on us, but they're not really a bad thing. And they keep all the insects down. So, yeah.
I always remember one of our chats a few years ago now, you tossed in, I was having a chat to an ant the other day. You broke me right up. How do you chat to an ant?
It's exactly, I know, and it's exactly the same way. You know what happened the other night? I've got this little trail of ants now coming into my kitchen, and I can't do anything about them because you just can't kill everything because it's inconvenient. I can't kill anything. So what happened was I was actually eating a sugarless brownie. I'll put it that way. It was a little brownie and I had some crumbs there and I saw these ants heading towards it. So I took my brownie and there was some crumbs there and I went, you know what, you guys, you've come a long way. If you want those crumbs, go for it, right? Anyway, 10 minutes later, I come back and all the ants have headed over somewhere else. They've left the brownie crumbs and they've gone over to some healthy stuff. And I said to the ants, are you trying to deliver me a message? What are you trying to say? Not even the ants will take the brownie crumbs. And I go, okay, I need to eat a lot healthier, obviously.
So brownies off the menu now, are they?
So that was hilarious for me, and now I realise, ants are picky. They're really picky.
So how do you get rid of cockroaches then?
Oh, cockroaches are amazing, Barrett. Look, I have the greatest respect for cockroaches, but I'm like, I ask them to sometimes clear out of certain areas in my house, and they've been very respectful, and they also keep out of sight for me, only because, look, I don't find cockroaches dirty or anything like that. I was, apart from the dental the dental stuff I did at uni, I also went back and did about a half a zoology degree, and I'd love your viewers to hear this, because in zoology you had to get a cockroach. It was live, wouldn't like a dead one, but it was live, and it was in the petri dish, and we had to cover it with flour, right, and leave it there the whole time of our class, which was 3 hours, and that cockroach literally spent the whole 3 hours cleaning its antenna, its legs. Anyway, this cockroach was pristine, and that's why they say if you put some bicarb soda in your cupboards and that you keep cockroaches out, because they don't like it. They don't like being dirty. So a lot of people don't realise that. These traps. They're so clean. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they come right up. So I don't have a problem with cockroaches at all. I don't want 300 of them in the house, but I live very harmoniously with all insects in here. And funnily enough, I don't see many, and that's what happens when you have this respect factor going on, because you can say, "Listen, I'll accept that, but not that," and they go, "Okay,
not that."
I know, we're so picky.
I remember when I moved out of Sydney for a while, up into the country, and I used to be arachnophobic. But when I moved up there, after talking to you, I then started to communicate with the big tarantulas, big ones like this would come out, and and then I would never kill them. But I found it a wonderful way of just putting a cloth over them, take them outside, and say, right, there you are. And they were very good. After a while, they respected me on that one, so it does work.
I seem to remember, Barry, you telling me about a python that you had.
Oh, Percy.
Yes, yeah. And became quite a friend, and you lived harmoniously together.
That's right.
And this is entirely possible, because I seem to remember your perception of a lot of things changed once this communication got going, and that's what I know that this communication does. It changes people's perceptions, because you can get personal with these creatures.
Oh yeah.
And we're just a creature to them. They're a creature to us. We're a creature to them. There's no difference. We're all the same, and we all deserve our space here on this planet. That's why when people say, well, why don't you do this with ants and do this? And I said, because somebody built my house on their land.
Oh, that's true.
We talk about the keepers of the land, with our indigenous. Well, they are indigenous. They were on the land way before you put your house there. So you need to be very compassionate.
Yeah, that's very true. I was having a chat with a parrot over the cockatoo the other day. Truly, I'm not trying to be funny. We were down, because where I live at Avalon in Sydney, there's cockatoos everywhere, big white ones, lovely ones. Anyway, Anne and I were down having a coffee, and the cockatoos come in and pinch all sorts of things off the tables and whatever. Anyway, this one was sitting on a chair just over, and I said, hello, what are you doing there? And I started to talk to him the way you taught me. And he put his head on one side and said, oh, you're talking to me, are you? I had a lovely chat with him. So it can be done.
They're not used to people wanting to communicate. Just get an action, like get away or whatever. Right. Some people like cockatoos. Cockatoos are very powerful. Like, they are very confident.
Can't believe.
I haven't met an underconfident cockatoo yet.
No, that's true. Very true.
And they just and they are pretty straightforward in their communication. It's like
Oh, are they ever?
I used to run horse clinics on this property over in New South Wales, and it was actually on the Victorian border. And these cockatoos used to, the lady used to complain that they're ruining this, and I put up a sale, and they said to me that sale's really annoying because when we fly through there, it gets in the way and it flaps up in the wind and it causes all sorts of problems for us. So they dismantled it.
And they were happy after that?
Yeah, so they took the catches off it and the whole shade thing came down. And it was actually in steel. It was in steel, little rivets and things. And I just went, because obviously she was upset. She'd paid a lot of money for it, but I couldn't help it because I was coming from the animal's perspective. And they said, well, it creates a lot of havoc for us. And we had to take it down because there's so many of us and we fly through there, take certain channels because there's other birds.
Isn't it wonderful?
They gave me a good argument, Barry. How can I turn around and go, okay, I agree with you that yes, it was destructive, but there was a reason for their destruction. But I know there's probably a lot of people listening going, yeah, well, that's not quite my view. I just want to say, just have a look at both views. Is there a right or wrong, or is it just a difference in opinion? I know that sometimes it can be annoying, but we ask animals to do some very strange things. We come along, we get in their territory because we don't consider it their territory, but it is because they were there first. And we get in there and we do stuff, and then we expect them to accept it. That's the reason for what we deem as destructive. Just saying.
Now, for those people who are thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind having a chat with an ant or a cockatoo or my dog or my cat or whatever, you run practitioner courses, don't you? Both for people who want to do this for a living or just people wanting to be able to do it personally. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so if people just want to talk to their animals, and they'll be able to speak to other animals, but it's mainly focused around really getting a conversation going with your animals. It's a wonderful thing because otherwise your animals never really get their say. Now, some people say, oh, I know what my animal's saying, and they do to a certain degree, but this isn't about body language.
No.
And I want to express this. Do I look happy, Barry? Right? Do I, at the moment, look happy?
You do indeed.
But
for our radio listeners, you'll have to take my word for it.
That's right. That's right. But basically, it doesn't mean that I necessarily everything's going well in my life right now. And just because your dog runs up to you in that moment and is wagging their tail, oh, my dog's happy about that. Yeah, right in that instant. But is your dog's life happy overall? Are they suffering physical ailments that you don't know about? All of these different things we don't know because that's why we speak to each other, so we know things. The animals don't get a chance to do that unless you speak their language. So the Pet Talk program basically does that for people. It gets them talking to their own animals, no matter how many they have, no matter what type of species they are. And yes, you will be able to talk to insects around the house and various things because it gets that conversation going. But if you want to do this as an animal consultant, you want to do this as a career and help animals and people both around you and all over the world, then I run a practitioner course. And Barry, it's the only one of its kind because it's a 12-month certified program. So it's quite intense, but by the time you get to your 12 months and you certify, you're ready to get out there and do your own thing. You really are. And so I have a lot of practitioners at the moment. They're absolutely loving the course, not just because they can speak to animals, but because they're getting into their heart center and because they're opening up their intuitive abilities, they're getting great personal growth out of it. They're telling me all these amazing transformations are happening, and I'm just so thrilled about that.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I know you're a medium and a psychic, and that helps a lot because you can hear what the animals are communicating with you. But for other people who aren't, or we all are, but those people who haven't opened up that part of their that part of their skill in life. How difficult is it for them to be able to do a course like the practitioner course and make it work for them?
Well, I have to tell you that my practitioners, I'm just trying to think now, is there anybody who's done a lot of this work?
Mm.
Because I can't think of any practitioner who is a medium or a psychic or any of those things before they started the course. And I'm just blown away with their abilities.
So
They're
this
actually
helps
having,
develop them, does
yeah,
it?
because it covers mediumship, it covers psychic development, it covers energy, it covers vibration, it covers animal communication, it covers all communication with the natural world. So we go to the plant kingdom, we go to the soil, the earth, the rivers. There isn't really anything in that 12 months that it doesn't cover. So you don't need anything if you just want to start from scratch. It's a perfect way to do that.
Yeah. And so you have everybody who does the course all pass. I mean, people don't walk away and say, "Oh, I can't find it too easy enough to be able to talk to an animal, so I'm out of here." Does it
Well, the people who,
always
yeah,
work?
yeah, no, they're all getting degrees of communication,
Mm.
and not you don't have to certify. Not everybody wants to certify. Some people just want to do it because they want all of the energy. They want to be able to talk to animals. They want to be able to talk to the planet. It's for personal growth. But the ones who are certifying they're just doing amazing jobs, because to certify you just have to do a degree of you just have to do so many consultations,
Mm.
and I'm just blown away with how well they're doing. More to the point, they're blowing away. They're blown away how well they're doing. But it's because it's such a comprehensive course. So it's 12 months online, but every fortnight I do a live session with them,
Mm.
and we cover all sorts of topics and various things. And because it's so comprehensive, everyone who's in there said, "I can't believe how much you get taught and how well you get taught." And so that for me is a great milestone to be reaching. But yeah, everybody will get a degree of animal communication. But like anything, Barry, it doesn't matter whether you're a medium, a psychic, you're doing energy, whatever you're doing. And we were before this, we were talking a bit about the Olympics.
Mm.
And I myself have been at one stage an elite athlete when I was competing in dancing. And I was just going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, and I remember it was 80 or more percent psychological
Mm.
than what it was in the skill set. I did enough training, and I used to do circuits, and I was training so many hours a week. And we would do up to 50 dances in a day on competition day, because I had 3 different styles and so on and so on. So I was, classed as an elite athlete. But what I say about anything, even whether it's animal communication or whatever it is, or it's dancing, you've got to do your own personal development, and that's what it's all about. And if any course you do can encompass that and get you to get out of your stuff, because everybody, as we know, Barry, out there can speak to animals, can be a medium, can be a psychic. They just tell themselves they can't. And once we get over this energetic hurdle of being able to expand our energy and go into a completely different vibration and train of thought. And I've proven this even when I was an elite athlete, because I knew when I wasn't going to do well that day, because it depends what I was thinking and what was my frame of mind. It's about your mindset. So that is a very big part of being able to do any of this. And because an animal spoke to me, and I never thought for a minute that, oh, this can't be right, or this must be fake, or this must be this. I just went, oh my God, my cat just spoke to me. That was my mindset. And that is why I've been able to speak to animals more and more and more, and all different species over the last few years, because I don't have a restriction in my belief.
Yeah, and I know you can also do it long distance, because I remember my wonderful cat Apollo, who I had before. Apollo was playing up, and you, from the other side of Australia to where I was, you were able to tell me about Apollo and what to do about him. And that sorted him out. You also communicated with him directly,
Yes.
thousands of kilometers away. So it's not something you have to actually sit and look at a dog or a cat or an ant in the eye, if you can find an ant's eye. You can do it long distance.
Yes, you can. This type of communication has no barrier, or, to distance or anything else. So, I've spoken to gorillas in Africa, lions. I've spoken to animals in Europe, all over the world. It doesn't really matter. You can connect with an animal. It's just a frequency. And it's amazing because that communication and that information comes across very freely and very easily when you allow it.
Mm-hmm. I remember in the very, very early days of this program, I was workshopping it on a radio station, a community station, and you rang in, and so you talked to somebody who was having trouble with their dog. You didn't see them, you didn't know them, you didn't know the dogs, you didn't do anything, but you were able to sort the problem out on the telephone.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's very, very widespread.
It is very widespread. It's amazing, and it all is just, well, talking, thinking. Everything is energy. So once you tune in to an animal, it's very free flowing, and it's really just hearing that conversation, allowing that energy to come through. So you can do it anywhere, anytime, anyhow. Even with things that there are problem, whales beaching or something across the world, you can speak to those whales. And this is the beauty of connecting with everything that's natural. It's just such a wondrous, beautiful thing. And people have to know that we love our animals, and we would, most people would love to speak with them. I think it's just the most awesome thing ever. But you can also communicate with trees and other living plants and other living creatures. But, it's very interesting, the research that they're doing now with plants, and how they have, even through science, realized, I've always known this, but it's just great how science is now caught up and saying that plants recognize, they've actually done scientific testing that plants can recognize you. Plants are also very compassionate. You can cut not that I've suggested it, but if you cut a big tree down and you've got the big stump left, all of the roots, the mycelium, they all go to that stump and they keep it alive. They're very compassionate beings, and they work together as a group and as families. Plant kingdom. And, even in the course, we define what is a weed. Well, a weed is something that we deem unpopular, that we deem not favorable. A weed is no different to any other plant. So again, it's a perception. Yeah, because in the old days, a lot of the weeds that we throw out now had very high uses in medicinal, for animals, all the things. But now, because they don't look the way we want them to look, we throw them out. But they're a living plant. So it's just a perception that I think we need to start changing for things like climate change and all of these other things that are being brought up around the planet. It's very important that we start connecting with nature and feel what it needs and what it wants. And then the governments will have a better idea of actually how to solve the problem that's going on.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed on that one. Governments might know things, but whether they do anything about it is another thing.
Yeah, that's the truth, Barry. And that's why there's people like me. I'll be going out there and vying for all the natural world, as much as I can, and educating as much as I can.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, with your practitioner's course, once people get there, is it a degree or a diploma or?
Well, basically, it's a certification. So when they become certified, they get a registration, and they do a CPD, which is continued professional development. So it's like a vet, doctor, a dentist, whatever you have. We have a registration, we have CPD, and these certified practitioners are on my website, so that the general public can actually go there and know that these people are specifically trained in a certain way to certify. Because when you're at a certain level, people don't realize the amazing world of animal communication, but also being an animal consultant. You run your own business, you pick your own hours, you can do anything the way you want to do it. But in doing that, you're helping animals and people everywhere. You're getting the voice of the animals out. You're giving animals a choice. And this program gets you to a point where you are ready to go out and do just that in whatever capacity that you want to do, because you get support from the animal talk, me, you know, and the whole company. You get the support and the endorsement through that. And then they also have a practitioner network that they're at the moment, they're the students, they're in the, you know, WhatsApp group, but they move to another group where these practitioners can then speak and transfer very, very important information about animals, because we don't just talk to animals, we solve problems. I teach my practitioners to solve problems. If somebody comes to you and they said, my animal's doing this, or I don't know what to do, or they're unwell and I've tried to do this and blah, 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 you know, so they have to research things. They have to understand things. We work with other practitioners. We have a network where we use a whole load of other therapies that help your animals, that people are actually unaware of, that's even available. So that's what we do as animal communication consultants. And I think it's a very important role for all animals. You know, my vision is that, you know, we're going to have animal communicators on demand. You take your animal to an emergency situation, you're rushing your animal to the vet, and you're given some kind of information there, either, hey, you've got to make this decision or that decision. I'm hoping to have communicators on demand. People can actually, if they can't do it themselves, can get a communicator to ask their animal, how are they feeling? Do they want to go through with that? Do they want to go this way? They want to go that way? And to help that person make those dire decisions. And even if they're not dire, whatever decisions those people have to make, we help get the information from the animal so the animal decides what they really want to do. Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering what they could use the certification for. Obviously, I thought, well, if somebody comes to you with a problem with their pet or whatever, but it's much broader than that, isn't it? An animal communicator can work in many different areas. Could they, for instance, work in association with vets?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, that's one of my projects as well, getting them into vets, or buying a veterinary practice and setting it up with communicators in it and showing how it's done. So you can I work in conjunction with vets. I've got a lot of vets listed on my website. I work with a lot of vets. They endorse me. They're part of the course that I run. They've put videos in nutrition, Chinese medicines, all of these various areas, because my students have said to me, oh, I didn't realize how big this was. I thought we were just going to talk to animals. I didn't realize there was so many different areas. I didn't realize we would be talking to them even after they have passed. They do euthanasia cases, you know, is your animal ready to go? They do behavioral. We don't diagnose, but we assist in hearing the animal of the symptoms they have that perhaps the vet can't recognize, and we can give added information about where we're feeling certain areas and about where the animal is telling us that they're being affected. The person can then pass that on to the vet. So this is a crucial time. If you could imagine that you could never speak, that you were gagged, how many areas of your life could be enhanced by making that now fully with communication, if you can think even about it, even to the point of where an animal has got to undergo a huge thing at a vet, and you get put in a carrier, you get whisked away, you go out the back, you wake up, you're all weird after anesthetic, nobody told you anything. And that's what causes the stress in animals. Some of my work is that they're going to fly. I just did 2 dogs flying from Johannesburg to Mauritius to England. Then they're getting into a car. They're going about another 3-4 hours so that they can meet up with their people in a part of England. So I get hired to take the animal telepathically through that whole event. So I stage out what the plan is, so what they can expect. I visualize everything for them. I even go through the plane takeoff and landing and what it's going to be like during. And I go through the whole process, and people have said, I can't believe how relaxed my animal is. Well, yeah, because there's nothing to be afraid of, because now they know what's going to happen. It's not a big machine about to blow up that they're sitting in. being a plane. It's all done for them. I just helped somebody transport 5 horses from Brisbane to Auckland by plane. And the horses said to me, it's not so much our group, but the whole plane feels nervous because it was full of horses. They had gutted a plane, filled it up with horses. So I actually had telepathically connected with all the horses and calmed them all down for these horses. So and when the horses got to the other side, they were just amazed. They just walked out. And in fact, the person said they even got on another truck, which I took them through, took them to the property. And she just said, I can't only, she was helping with the communication. She's one of my students. And she said, I can't believe how relaxed they are. They're all different ages, all different personalities. They just walked off that truck like they're doing it every day. And she said, and they even just had a bit of a stretch. They even felt great, like physically being through all of that, because they had come from a remote part of Queensland by truck, then a plane, then another truck. You can imagine 5 horses that are normally sitting, standing in a paddock. So we do a whole range of things, anything to do with your animals, we solve, and we solve it with the help of your animal.
Oh, fantastic. Now, we'll hit your web site, so people want to find out how to do the course. Just about, it's Animal Talk.
Animaltalk.com.au.
Or .com.au, animaltalk.com.au. Okay, so you can have a look there. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you have a project that you have very much in the early stages, and I think it's a fantastic one to be able to work with children on a special series, a video series, TV series, whatever, I'm not sure. But tell me a bit about that one, because that is looking at the future, isn't it? Looking at the young.
Yeah, look, this is going to be a big area, and it's not just going to be me who's involved with it, because I think everything's going to change, but I'm certainly going to push for this. We're working on a project at the moment to, first of all, get animal communication or connection with the natural world back with school children. We want to do it pre-primary up to high school. So we want to start it, very early. As you know, a child formulates their whole belief system, their whole process in life between the age of 0 to 7 years, because we're in a theta brain state. They're like a sponge. So imagine learning about animals, nature, how it works, our connection with it, how to treat it, all of that sort of stuff, and then putting it in primary school and so on. So kids just grow up with the knowledge that this is nature and this is how we treat it, and we can communicate and connect with it. So that's a very big thing, first of all, because obviously, in my view, we could, in the next 2 generations, completely turn around, and I'm talking everything. Can you imagine people learning, like there's research being done in Scotland right now where they're trying to actually get it into Australian schools about this nature and how they're teaching children about the death and the life process, the connection to nature and how we treat it, and our kind of role in it, but also where the Indigenous from our country, our own Indigenous, are going to be teaching them about the land and about connecting with all that there is. And they were even saying that a little boy went to pick up a rock and the little boy next to him said, oh, no, remember, you promised the earth that you wouldn't remove anything. So it's like a beautiful, gentle process going through, and you can only imagine that it could actually minimize violence or aggressive tendencies, because we're going to connect with all that is. We're going to know how to meditate, relax, chill out. It could also take away a lot of the anxiety that's now present in the children in schools. It's quite a big area. And I'm being asked personally through my business to, can you teach children and all of this? So I'm trying to formulate at the moment a video series with a like an animation of, from the animal's perspective, the interaction between human and animals. So a human will interact. What is the animal wanting to say in its silent language, and be translating that as as the storyline goes on, so that people can really understand how animals view things and how they see things, and when we've stepped across the line and what that means for the animal, so that we're now looking from two perspectives, not just our own, because that's a very egotistical way to look at things, I think, in life, that you always look at two sides. But because the animals are silent and people don't know how to access that unless they learn it or it's translated by a communicator, they will never know what that animal is truly thinking and feeling at any one moment in time. And I think that is the greatest gift we can give to the planet.
Could not agree more. Now, you said putting it into schools. What's the reaction so far from teachers and the education people?
Well, we're still learning about that. Look, in some schools, apparently it is coming in and it's being trialed in certain areas. And there's also schools like Montessori and Steiner's that are already moving away from the social media and the computers and all that, and getting kids more into more the artistic way and all of that. I think it's part of that, but I think we just need to extend it. Instead of seeing an animal in a I've actually spoken to a lot in the education area, and it's really interesting because I'm a little bit shocked about this, but some of the preschool teachers have said to me, one of your biggest challenges will be the parents. And their comments were things like, these are the comments that I've heard. So from the pre-primary, I've heard things like, we try to get our children to climb trees and do this, that, and the other thing. And the parents go, no, it's too dangerous. I'm scared. And they're teaching the children to shy away from it. They try to get them to do some art. Some of the children don't want to do it because they said, no, I won't do it right. It won't be perfect. Where does that come from? And then there's children that are coming with quite heavy shoulders and heavy burdens on them. There's lots of things happening with our children, and they just said it sometimes is the belief of the parents. So certainly that needs to be educated as well. And of course, we don't expect you to say, oh, just throw your children out into the world and have no protection over them. But, maybe we have to look at what's fun and what's protection. I have to tell you, I was never a tomboy, Barry, but I did climb trees as a kid, and I fell out of one and I got a little bit winded for a while. And then it taught me to be better at climbing trees. I didn't fall out. So I think we have to look at things like this. Then I was teaching at a wildlife and farm facility over in Sydney, and they told me, and I was teaching animal communication there in a separate venue with separate people, but the keepers were telling me that the kids over there in this particular area and major parts of Sydney, some of them were scared of animals. Some of them were very scared of animals. So when they brought out a rabbit, the children would run away.
A rabbit?
So the keeper would have to turn the rabbit around so that only the bottom of the rabbit was showing, and trying to get them to pat it. And a lot of kids wouldn't, because then they see them as they're not attuned to them. Maybe they live in apartments, that they've never seen farm animals, they've never seen animals. These are like anomalies to them. Instead of in our day, they were things that we saw all the time and that we touched, and we knew that they weren't fearful. So children have ventured quite a long way away from nature, that I can see. And this is what's prompted me to think we need to bring them back into that, bring them back into themselves. And let's not forget all of the therapy programs that are out at schools at the moment, and in various forms for the aged care, for autistic children, where they're using animals, because children have been now realised that with their dogs, because they've had dogs at home, that they feel safe with those animals. There's the thing called the storybook, where school children are reading to a dog, not people.
Oh, wonderful, yeah.
Because the dog doesn't judge. They don't say, oh, you got that word wrong, or you could have done that a bit better. And the children are thriving with confidence in their reading. And they're finding that children are going and talking to these animals. So I just think this has such a huge impact on the children and society as a whole. And I just think, animals and nature are the way to go. And we need to reconnect back with that and get away. I'm sorry for anybody who loves social media, but getting away from all of these distractions.
Phones all the time.
Yeah.
Staring
And
at your
they're saying
phone.
young people don't even know how to talk to each other now because they don't
I know
know.
we're going to get them away from
It's
that.
all via text. I don't know about you, Barry, but I'm not a very good texter. So I'll get on the phone and chat to somebody. So just saying, what generation has really got the answers? I'm thinking it's probably a mixture, but I think we've gone too far the other side, and I think we now need to come back to the heart center and to the appreciation of life and what's around us, to look after it. And then if we look after nature and animals, I'm sure we'll start looking after each other.
I think you're totally right. Now, for your project, you really need a good sponsor, don't you? Maybe somebody who can put some money into this project, because I think it has a fabulous future, definitely.
Absolutely, Barry. And that's all it would take because all of the foundations are there. We just need a team of people to help me to get this project, get it sponsored and make it happen, because you know what? It's not that hard to make it happen. We could do it. We could do it very simply if we just had the resources. And absolutely, I think it's the next step. And I don't think we're going to go very much further without it.
All right, so let's put the call out now. If we have any sponsors out there right now, animaltalk.com.au, or if you know somebody, can spread the word, because I'm right behind all this with Trisha. I know the work she does, and also I think this project is fabulous. When you told me about it the other day, I thought, wow, I am really impressed. So there we are, animaltalk.com.au. Trisha, fantastic catching up with you again. All the best for that. We'll keep on. We'll have a follow-up shortly, see how it goes. Let me know what's happening. And I'm off to have another chat with that cockatoo now. Right? There's an ant over there who wants to talk to you as well. So, okay, we'll talk next time, okay?
Yes, absolutely. Bring on bring on any animal guests that you like.
Okay, I will. Now, I have a dog that needs some training. I'll talk about that later. Bye now.
Bye, Barry.
And a reminder, Trisha's website, animaltalk.com.au. I'll see you next week with Duncan Rose, my special guest. See you then.